Some of the Christmas decor at the Dollar Tree is, well, pretty basic, but I see potential, and today we're turning these boring finds into beautiful high-end holiday decor. And well, let's just say things get messy. This episode is all about transformation, not just of the things, but how we see them. I'm giving 5 ugly Dollar Tree Christmas items a complete high-end makeover, and along the way, reminding myself that sometimes the most overlooked things need a little love and vision. Our first item is these plastic stacking presents that you've seen at the Dollar Tree. These weren't presents, they were basically, in my mind, plastic stacking blocks pretending to be Christmas decor. They looked like oversized baby toys. But with a little bit of tweaking, we can make them look so much better. So what I did here is I took it outside, and I've heard that painting these plastic items from the Dollar Tree, particularly these large scale things, that if you paint them with a little bit of Mod Podge prior, that it would help the spray paint adhere a little bit better. And rather than brushing it on these presents, I went ahead and purchased the spray Mod Podge, hoping that it would work. Let that dry for about 15 to 20 minutes. Basically, some of the ones that I've been doing recently where the spray paint hasn't been adhering how I liked it to, I thought I would give this a try. And then I went in with my spray paint, which was a matte spray paint. I think it was called Red Hot Chili Pepper or something like that. I believe it's a Rust-Oleum color. I felt like the Mod Podge really did help it stick better. I felt like I got way better adhesion. I still did 2 coats of that spray paint, letting it dry for about 30 minutes in between, and then a couple of hours afterwards. This is gonna be so simple, and there's a lot of different ways you could take these stacking presents. You could choose the color that you want, and then you could also zhuzh it up with polka dots or stripes or whatever. There's a lot of options here. However, I just decided to keep it kind of basic, and you'll see why in just a second. So the next thing that I did was just cover up those plastic ribbons with some real ribbon, and I used this red and white kind of candy stripe that's on a diagonal. I feel like this ribbon covers up a big chunk of the present, and because it has the stripes in it, I feel like it would be too busy to then go ahead and do polka dots or something else. But all I did was cut pieces, hot glue it into place on all 4 sides, and then I made a beautiful bow that was kind of smaller but big for our present on the top. And this is literally just twisting and turning and twisting. It's very simple. It's the same bow I always do. And then I poked a hole because I already had a hole where the plastic bow went, and then I poked a hole through the ribbon so that we could shove the wire through that hole. But before I did that, I put a generous amount of hot glue so that our bow would stick in place. Then I just took some berries and greenery that were holiday themed and hot glued those into place. And then one final embellishment on that middle stacking present to just kind of up the ante a little bit is I took a gingerbread man and put that right in the middle of the present. And that's just because that's my theme this year. You could theme this how it works with your Christmas decor. With a little bit of Lex ribbon, a fresh paint job, and some glamorous embellishment, it transformed the whole look of this present and really elevated it. It's wild how the right textures and finishes change the entire feel of the piece, from clunky plastic to boutique charm. I hope you like this one. Our next project is these giant oversized candy canes. You've probably seen them in your Dollar Tree store. A few years ago, they were $3 a piece, but this year they're $6, which is still a pretty good price for how large it is. But I wanted to change this up and make it fit my holiday decor. Now, these are kind of cute as is, but they definitely are a little bit more wild, and I wanted a little bit more of a tailored look. And plus, with the gingerbread look, I wanted it to have kind of like a handmade feel as well. So I started out by ripping off all of the tinsel. Now, this took me a second to kind of get the hang of pulling it off. It was on there pretty good. It wasn't the easiest to get off, but even more, it made a huge mess. I tried to clean it up the best I could when I threw threw it away, but even after I was done, there was tinsel all over the floor. This one almost had me tapping out. The tinsel was a nightmare to remove, but once I started wrapping them in the thick yarn, it totally turned around. Now, first of all, you're gonna start on whatever end you wanna start out on. I put a whole bunch of glue on the inside of the pipe because it's open on the bottom, and then you can put like your raw end inside that and then start wrapping it gently around, and then you're gonna probably wanna use a little bit more glue on the end pieces just so that those are on there really, really good. And then you won't need to use quite as much as you go along. I did clip it at the end, but I left like a little bit of tail, and then when I started my new one, I kind of wrap it on itself once and also cover up that tail, and then keep going and using hot glue at the start and the stop of each color, just keeping that going. And basically I did 5 of these. I use this very thick yarn from Hobby Lobby. It's like super jumbo sized. I liked the look of that. In the end, I ended up using, I could get 4 candy canes out of the red. It does call for a little bit more red because both ends are red. And then I got like 5 out of the white. And so my thought is that I will use 3 of them at the very top of my tree because I have very tall ceilings in here. I have a 12-foot Christmas tree, but my ceilings are about 23 feet high. So I even have some more height where I can make the top of the tree really spectacular. And then we'll find another spot for the other couple of candy canes. And maybe we'll even need to make some more, but they were really easy to do. This is totally doable. So it's a very economical for a huge piece of decor, and these are really cute and I love how they turned out. Up next is another project that I've been dying to try. Now, I will confess, these ornaments that I'm using are from IKEA. I picked them up on the last episode at IKEA, and I decided to just go ahead and save it for this episode because they basically look like the same kind of thing that you could pick up at the Dollar Tree. My ornaments are technically from IKEA, but you will find something very, very similar there. So I'm starting with red ornaments. I want to keep them red, but if you wanted to change the color of your ornaments, you could start by just painting them out the color that you want. But since I'm leaving them red, this was easy as could be. What I did is popped off the tops of the ornaments, and then I brushed on some Mod Podge kind of generously, but what I've learned is maybe you don't need to be as generous and you just need to focus more on consistency. And that's why I think the spray Mod Podge might be a really interesting technique to try because it would go on there very, very easily, but I didn't want to spray it inside. I suggest doing that in a well-ventilated area, maybe your garage. And then it's as simple as taking flour, and I used like a sifter to sift it over the top and totally saturating it. And then you can very lightly shake off the excess on the ornament. I had like a bamboo skewer that I would just sit them on. And then I just had that shoved in like a styrofoam. And then I let them sit overnight. I don't know that you necessarily need to let it sit that long, but at least till it's fully dry. Then you go back in with a soft bristled brush and you start brushing off the excess flour. And what you're left with is a velvet look ornament. This really elevates the look of this ornament. It's stunning, it's beautiful. I think it's just such a fun technique. Now, these ornaments were about as generic as they come, but with a little bit of flour and some Mod Podge, suddenly they look like soft velvet from a high-end boutique. It's amazing just how a little bit of texture can bring so much warmth and elegance. So this next one is a loosely, well, you say very loosely, inspired by Mackenzie Child's gingerbread Christmas tree that I saw online. My gingerbread decorating skills aren't exactly like award-winning. That's why I don't have a whole lot of experience in that. I don't do like a lot of cookie decorating. If you're good at cookie decorating, this next DIY is gonna be amazing. But yes, it was inspired by Mackenzie Child. What I did is I found those kind of whimsical white Christmas trees that you've seen at the Dollar Tree. Some of them, I've seen some green ones, and there might be one other color as well, but I got the white ones. And what I did is I flipped it on the back side where it was already kind of like exposed wood. I could have kind of gone with that, but I just took the paint, the leftover paint from our little gingerbread project back here, and I very carefully did a couple of coats of that so that it would kind of match. And then I got out some puff paint. Now, I started out with a kind of iridescent one, but what I will recommend is just a regular white puff paint. That's gonna give you the most saturated look and the more realistic icing look. If you want a little sparkle and iridescence, we'll add that in later. So basically, I took the photo of the Mackenzie Childs one and I was just kind of eyeballing it. Maybe if I had like printed something out and then like traced it on or whatever, I eyeballed this, and in the end I think it's okay, but you'll see. So then I got it the way it was the best I could do. And I was like, I don't know if this looks very good. I let it dry overnight and until it was fully dried, and then I took it outside and I sprayed on some kind of like really soft gold glitter on it. And because I've seen a lot of those glittered sugar trees, very similar to this, like at Hobby Lobby, Home Goods, all over. And I also, while I was at it, glittered the white on the front too, because I feel like on another year we could flip that around and just use the white side and put the gingerbread side on the back. So this one just kind of made me smile. It's a little playful, it's a little imperfect, even if it leaned a little bit more on the Childs than the Mackenzie side, if you know what I mean. I love how whimsical it turned out. Because I'm doing a gingerbread theme, I had another one that was inspired by a Pottery Barn dish, but I found this like little candy dish at the Dollar Tree. It was one of their less expensive things. I never know if it's $1.25, $1.50, $1.75 these days. It's a guessing game and your guess is as good as mine. But either way, this was kind of just like a plain green plastic bowl. But once I saw it, I was like, this has some potential. I could take this more gingerbread theme, but there's a lot of different ways I could upgrade and elevate this candy dish as well. So, but once I saw the gingerbread, I couldn't unsee it. It was just so much similar to the one from Pottery Barn. And so I just leaned into it. And so what I did is I brushed on the Mod Podge because again, it was dark and I didn't want to take it out and spray it on. However, I would recommend the spray Mod Podge. I think that would work really, really great. Let that dry. And then I did 2 coats of that gingerbread colored paint that I already had and let that dry. I went in and took some chalk paint around the rim to give it like that white snowy ledge, and I think that that worked out really good. And then I went back in with that white puff paint. I went a little overboard on the first dots. It already has like a textured dot on it already. So if you do this, you do not need to add too much. Otherwise, it's like a little bit overkill. So you just barely need to cover those already existing polka dots that are there. After we got all those little tiny polka dots, I went in and kind of tried to freehand some of those other designs that I saw on the Pottery Barn one. I let that fully dry. I went in and I did a clear satin coat on it, and then I let that fully dry because I wanted it to have kind of like a ceramic feel of a dish. Now this is not food safe, obviously, so this is probably better as served as like a wrapped candy dish, or you could use it to throw your keys in or something like that. But I just kind of think it would be a fun place to put your little Christmas wrapped candies in. It just goes to show you that a little paint, a little faux icing, adds so much holiday flair. It's still the same plastic bowl underneath, but it has such a more sweet story. Every project today started out as something kind of overlooked, something most people might pass by or think is a little bit basic. But creativity isn't about what something is, it's about what it can become with a little imagination, a little effort, and maybe a few glue gun burns. You can turn anything into something beautiful. So if you've been doubting your space, your budget, or even your own creative eye, don't. Trust the process. The magic's in the makeover. And if you enjoyed this episode, oh, hello, we've got... I was about to say goodbye, but this is our little friend. This is Coco, and we're dog sitting him while his owners are away, and he just wanted to say hi, I guess. As I was saying, if you enjoyed this episode, here's another one that I think you'll like as well. And to all of you, I just want to remind you that you are powerful. We'll see you next time. Bye. Say bye, Coco. Say bye now. She's asleep. Bye.